Wolves this weekend. It's a battle of unbeatens, not just for the SAC, but also for Super Region 2. What challenges do the Wolves pose for you?
Well, veteran football team, especially on the defensive side, a lot of returning starters, and not only just returning starters, but returning all SAC performers. So, very talented football team, and playing at Newberry is always tough. It's a 6:30 kickoff. On a 3-hour road trip, and it always catches you in between. When do you leave? When do you get there? When do you? It's always tough negotiating all that. But we're hopeful that we'll be able to get ourselves in a good game plan and execute a good game plan, and keep our heads above the water and do the things that it takes to win a ball game. We need to win the kicking game. We need to eliminate turnovers. We need to force some takeaways, and we need to block and tackle. And if you do those things and throw in elimination of penalties, especially undisciplined penalties, then that's a pretty good formula to have some success.
Solid victory over Lenore-Ryan. How do you improve upon it? How do you build upon that?
Well, of course, had good effort. And I think effort is the key. Of course, if you can coach a whole lot of things, and you can work on a game plan and execute a game plan, but without effort, you're not much of a coach, and because it's completely out of your hands. And so we very impressed with the effort of our kids and the improvement from first ball game to second ball game in the basic stuff like taking care of the football. Great to see in a very offensive defense this time, where we scored once and set up 2 or 3 others, and so that was very rewarding. And even though we're struggling getting the right people on the field injury-wise right now on defense, they made a lot of things happen. So we were very grateful for that.
Yeah, you've got an opportunistic club, at least at this point, 3rd in the nation in turnover margin.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. 3rd in the nation.
3rd in the nation.
We're big time.
How do you continue to cause that chaos against Newberry?
Well, the most important thing is the beginning point is to take care of it yourself. Don't turn it over yourself, and so then that ratio can't get any worse. It can always get better, and of course I think the defense enjoyed. They knocked a few loose. Some of them were just laying there for our taking, and so at least when it got on the ground, it seemed like there was an orange jersey close to it, and that was usually a good sign of some hustle and a good sign of anticipating it happening, and still being surprised that it happened, thinking that it will happen, and that's a whole different ballgame.
Newberry, you talk about taking care of the football, and Newberry's a team that comes off a game against Catawba where the Wolves forced 5 interceptions. How do you keep that mindset that the rock is yours and it's not leaving the Eagles' grasp?
Well, it's that old football is an oval football, and it bounces crazy. It's not round, and so you got to get it loose, and then you got to make sure that you on the crazy bounces that you're there with enough people that you can take care of the football and get it. So they're a solid defensive football team. They're big. They're very aggressive defensively. It'll probably be at least what it looks like on video. It'll be the fastest team that we've played this year, and speed creates problems. And so we've got to be geared up so that we can match up speed-wise.
How do they compare defensively to Lenore-Ryan? I mean, you've almost got that analog between Demetrius Green, who had a great game for LR, to Apollo Stretch, another inside linebacker who's coming off of he had a banner week in week one. He's a one-time sack player of the week, and then you've got another defensive end in Squirrell, who's a sack defensive player of the week. What are they like defensively compared to LR?
Well, I think scheme-wise, last year it was almost identical. They did jump into an odd front where they tried to match up everybody and let the linebacker run because they like him. He's a good football player. But this year we don't know what they're going to do. We're not sure whether they're going to do the scheme that LR put against us. Last year there was a lot of reasons to do it. This year we had 400 yards against LR. So whether they feel like they can do that scheme, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what we're going to see. It's going to be interesting to see what we line up against.
Offensively, they're pretty balanced. And I think last week they had 11 different receivers, for running backs, receivers, tight ends, catch passes. How do you negate that? You never know where the football's going to be going.
Well, they've got a lot of skilled people that can run. They've got some size. They've got a 6'4" wide receiver that is a mismatch for us to start with. I just hope our guys don't go and call mama and tell them these big old boys are picking on me or something. But they really got some good football players. And so, and they got a quarterback that last year against us, they brought him in to run a wildcat type offense. He carried the ball 7 or 8 times, 9 or 10 times, and threw it twice. And so he was their running threat last year, and they did a good job in that scheme against us. So it'll be interesting to see this year. He's throwing it a whole lot, but there's no question he's a running threat because he did it last year against us. And anytime you have a dual threat quarterback, it creates a whole lot more problems.
How does your team's heart at this point during the season?
Well, I think we're on a good upbeat. I think we've got a good positive attitude on this football team. I think kids are responding well to coaching. They're holding each other accountable to a degree. With the exception of a handful of them, I like the personality of this football team, there's some want to there. As long as they want to, then we'll continue to get better. But we certainly are a long, long way from being a really good football team. We're an improving football team, and that's always encouraging. You do 1 or 2 things, you do that or you do this, you never do that. And so hopefully we'll keep climbing the mountain.
How healthy are the Eagles on offense, specifically Jason Brown?
Do what? Say it again.
How healthy are the Eagles on offense?
Oh, we're not very healthy at all. We got 4 on offense and 4 on defense that if they don't practice tomorrow, they won't play in this ball game, and that's very, very shaky for somebody that's already very thin. And so we're thin at some positions, and it seems like those positions we lose somebody every week. And it's I don't know. It helps keep coaches humble, though. There is a side effect that's good. It keeps coaches humble because we realize we're not very good, and we got to keep working at it real hard.
Is it mostly wide receivers on offense? Like we
No.
saw Jason Brown go out.
No, we got 2 running backs that probably not going to play, and it remains to be seen. We got 2 linebackers again, on top of the linebackers that we've already lost, that we're not sure about, and now we're back to a defensive lineman or 2 that is banged up and not sure whether they're going to be able to play, and Oliver Davis hadn't played yet, and he was our leading returner coming back in the secondary, and he hadn't played yet. So we need to get some of those guys back and get them well. And the bad thing of it is most of them are walking around in cast or something that's going to, be at least 3 or 4 more weeks. So.